Capricorn, welcome to your weekly reading. Let's get started and see what messages we have for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions for the week ahead. Now, keep in mind, these are general readings and may not resonate for everyone. So make sure to check out your other placements because you could have messages in those readings as well. And if you're looking for a personal reading, the link is in the description below, or you can just send me an email and we can set that up. All right, my friends, let's get started for Capricorn. Sun, Moon, and Rising, what is the current energy around the week ahead for Capricorn? Capricorn, what is the energy around Capricorn for this week? Oh, wow. Sagittarius got like, I don't know how many cards, like 6 or 7. Capricorn, you got 1. And it's balanced spirituality with practicality. Isn't that interesting? So, and it's the full moon in Pisces. We just had the new moon in Pisces. The bottom of the deck says adjustments are required. Interesting, Capricorn. So you're needing to make adjustments when it comes to bringing spirituality and practicality. You may be leaning heavily more into the practical or more heavily into the spiritual. And your job is to find balance. You might also have placements in Pisces, which are sort of leading you more into that spiritual realm. And because you're a Capricorn, you're very practical. So it's interesting. It's like you have to bring balance to those two aspects of yourself, and there's some adjustments required. So you may need to sort of surrender more to spirit, or you may need to add some practical steps to whatever it is you're working on, or take an action in the 3D that helps move something. And adjustments. I feel like the adjustments could also be in your own patterns of behavior. So how do you structure your day? What time do you get up? What time do you go to sleep? What kind of food do you eat? What kind of entertainment do you imbibe? What kind of vices do you use when you feel triggered and stressed? You know, what are the patterns in your life that could need some adjusting? You know, it's interesting to consider. The card that is behind the bottom of the deck, I'm just going to mention it, is work through your fears. So there could be, for some of you, there could be some fears here. There could be some fears coming to the surface that you need to sort of address by balancing the spiritual and the practical, by making some adjustments so that you're not feeling triggered by fear around something. Very interesting. Okay, let's jump into the tarot cards to get a little bit more info for you around what's going on for Capricorn this week. And I think it's very interesting that that you're being called to balance the spiritual and the practical, because that new moon in Pisces, I think, brings out a lot of spiritual and a lot of intuitive feelings and a lot of that feminine energy coming from the moon. It's interesting. Okay, let's get started here. Okay, for Capricorn, what are the messages for Capricorn? 4 of Cups in reverse. Let's get all your cards out first. Read them like a story. Knight of Cups. So it's a very emotional time. Oh, wow. Ace of Pentacles with the Queen of Cups in reverse. 4 of Swords in reverse. One more, please. Oh, we got way more than one more. Let's shuffle those back in. But that's interesting. Those tell a story too, don't they? Wow, let's keep them. Okay. Capricorn, you got the most tarot cards, and the bottom of the deck is the 10 of Swords. So something the worst is over. I feel like I've said that to you before, Capricorn, that the worst is over. You have been going through it. You know, it's interesting. I feel like Capricorn has been moving through some really heavy energies for the past 2 years. It feels like Capricorn has been moving on some really heavy energies, and it's been pulling through a lot of stuff from the past. And so we see the Four of Cups, we see the Six of Cups, we see the Nine of Cups, we see the Knight of Cups and the Queen of Cups. So it's interesting. It's almost like you're moving through a period where you're releasing this idea of a fear of missing out on something. And I feel like you're no longer feeling as drawn to whatever that was as you used to be. In the past, you were very drawn to something that now I think you're seeing it for what it is. And you're trying to move towards a journey here where I think you have a new idea about how to be the authentic version of yourself. And that almost feels like that authentic part of you doesn't fit with this past situation anymore. So there's a piece of you that's moving past something from the past, and you're moving towards a new beginning for yourself. That it's almost like that thing from the past still has a bit of a hold on you. When I see that Queen of Cups in reverse and the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, that's creating this need for recovery again. Whatever this past thing is, Capricorn, it keeps coming up for you emotionally. It must, honestly, it must be a very strong and powerful contract, a soul contract that was part of your brilliant plan before coming here. Excuse me. And so there's something for you to learn from that contract still. And the lesson might be to walk away and to focus on your own self-discovery and to see that I don't have that deck out right now, but I bet you if I did this one card, All That Glitters would come out. I think you're starting to see that all that glitters isn't necessarily gold, that there may have been some kind of illusion around this past experience. And it's like you're starting to see that illusion, and it's knocking you down. When anytime you see that you're no longer a part of that dynamic, it's over. That part of that chapter is over, and it kicked your butt a little bit, but it kicked your butt so that you wouldn't. I feel like it kicked your butt so you wouldn't go back. And that might be this idea of balancing spirituality with practicality, in the sense that there are spaces that you don't belong in anymore, Capricorn. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you seeing that in order to be the authentic version of yourself that wears your heart on your sleeve and sort of has all of these new ideas and new inspirations about self-discovery and what you desire, I think has changed. You had a desire about the past stuff here that no longer resonates for you. And there's a part of you that needs to surrender that. And I think that is proving to be a challenge. But those adjustments are worthwhile, because I think they're actually leading you to a brand new beginning. And it's interesting, Capricorn, because I feel like you are still needing to recover from something triggering you, and a fear of missing out on something. It's like you need to look at this in a new way with this Ace of Swords, because there is a new beginning for you away from all of this. But I feel like seeing the Queen of Cups in reverse says, I'm still really attached. I'm still really attached to this emotionally. And it's creating uncertainty for you moving forward. And that uncertainty needs to be processed. It's almost like you need to process that uncertainty to see what is your greatest desire, and what do you sort of wish for yourself. Because I feel like you have the opportunity with that Ace of Pentacles, even though it's in reverse. I think it's only in reverse because your energy is unfocused right now. Something must have happened in the recent past, like the last couple of weeks, that brought something back from the past into your attention. And that's not to say that something from the past showed up physically. It's just that perhaps there's something about this time of the year that makes you think about this past connection or this past experience, or perhaps you saw something and you, in your social media, or you heard a friend told you about something, or something happened to make you start to think about this past situation again, and how it hurt you, and how it bothers you almost that you're still connecting to this energy. But I think you're connecting to it because it's part of this shadow work that needs to get managed. And that's why your card, the devil, you're not the devil, but in tarot, the devil is the Capricorn energy ruled by Saturn here. And, it's funny because behind that we see this 10 of Pentacles in reverse as well. So, looking at these three cards together tells me that whatever that past situation was, you basically had to start over from scratch after. You had to start over from scratch. Like, that past situation depleted you financially. It took away your sense of security. You had to start over again in almost every way you can think of in the 3D world. So you probably had to reestablish a home. You probably had to find a new way to make money and to feel secure and to provide for yourself. Like, I feel like whatever this situation was in the past, it knocked you in every way that someone could be knocked down. It got you in the 3D world. It got you in the sense of it brought up a lot of triggers for you, and it also just hit rock bottom from this. But the worst is over. The worst is over, but for some reason emotionally this situation is still present energetically. And seeing this idea that you need to balance spirituality with practicality, I think is saying, it almost shows me in my mind a pathway that says, if I go this way, I'm being very spiritual and that's my only focus. And if I go this way, I'm being very practical and that's my only focus. And it's almost like you need to make a third path that allows you to go across in a zigzag, so that you're spiritual and practical, you're spiritual, you're practical, spiritual and practical. And that zigzag almost becomes like a figure eight where you're sort of moving between the two pathways in balance, making adjustments as they're required. And it's like there's an adjustment required on the emotional level when it comes to whatever past situation is still coming to the surface. And when I say past, I think for some of you it could be inner child past. Like, it might not just be the last 5 years. It might be a situation where as a child you felt like you maybe missed out on some things because there just wasn't this sense of security around you. It's going to be different for whoever's listening, but ultimately there's a past, depending how far past it is, will depend on who's listening, but there's a past energy here that is coming to the surface for you to clear it. Because I feel like if you make those adjustments, you're going to see that there is a third option. It doesn't have to be all spiritual or all practical. I feel like you're going to see that you can sort of weave through the two by being in balance. And that might be ultimately what serves your path moving forward and allows you to sort of actualize your desires, whatever they may be. But there is a period of recovery here in that Four of Swords that I think removes any sort of lack of clarity or confusion from your path. Very interesting reading for you this week, Capricorn. Let's see what you need to surrender or surrender to. Surrender defensiveness. So that's a trigger that could be coming up. Surrender stress. Surrender to success. And surrender your fear of change. Bottom of the deck is surrender to your full power. So this is what I'm saying. It's interesting. It's like whatever is triggering this idea of stress and defensiveness, I feel like that's coming from something in the past. And there is a fear of letting that go. There is a fear of missing out. There is a fear of change. There is a fear almost of being successful in another area that takes you further away from that past connection that you still hold emotionally. Your full power is on the path of balance between the spiritual and the practical. Your life is calling for you to step into your full power rather than playing it small. So like really surrendering the fear of change and surrendering fear in general, which we saw working through your fears. So there is something here that you, I think, fear to release because you know there's no going back. If you cut ties with whatever this emotional thing is from the past, I feel like you know that there's no going back. And there's a part of you that fears that. There's a part of you that fears that. And a part of you that might be like, I don't want to let go of that. Why didn't that work out? You might have been saying that out loud to yourself about something recently and sort of wondering why it didn't work out. And I think it didn't work out because there's some other objective that you have here that would have been in contradiction. They wouldn't have been able to happen at the same time. You know what I mean? It's very interesting. And you might be feeling some fear around letting this go. The universe is reminding you that you are cared for always, whether you're afraid of change in your job, your health, or a relationship, or if you fear aging or death. Repeat this affirmation: I have faith that all is well. And it's interesting because when you look at the cards here, you have this surrender to success. So there might be a part of your inner child that is convinced that you will never be successful, and you may need to surrender to the idea that that's not the case. It says here, you are ready to experience abundance. Don't look back at previous roadblocks or difficulties, those past roadblocks or difficulties. Leap into an exciting new world of possibility and know that you will be successful. There is a defensiveness that you feel maybe as well coming up. It says here, defensiveness is a sign. It says it's a sign of weakness. I don't think that's true, but I do think it is not an empowered way to feel. When you feel defensive, I think it's a signal that you don't feel like you're in your full power, and you're being guided to be in your full power, right? So these two cards are very consistent with one another. Stay in the empowered path, stay centered, and hear out whatever is happening around you and offer a non-defensive response. So instead of having a reaction because you feel triggered, where you haven't actually been present, right? You've been triggered. So it's interesting. Something from the past could be on your mind this week, Capricorn. And surrendering the stress of it, I think, is going to let you, again, stay in your center so that you're not triggered to be defensive or to have a reaction. Focus on your success. Focus on releasing the uncertainty around you that comes up when you think about the past. I think when you're sitting in the present, I feel like you're maybe a little bit afraid of change, but you're not feeling as defensive. It's when you think about the past, you get defensive. So see what you can do about releasing that, right? See what you can do about releasing that this week and focus more on the abundance and not looking back at previous roadblocks or difficulties. I'm going to leave it at that for you, Capricorn. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I look forward to reading for you again soon, my friends. Sending you so much love and light. Take care.